get to. We'll go to Ms. Jayapal.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all so much for being here and for your testimony. Every student, staff, and faculty member deserves a college campus and a world that's free of discrimination. Anti-Semitism is wrong. I've consistently spoken out against it. I've consistently worked to ensure that we have full inclusion in our society and for people to be able to be who they are. It's also why I co-sponsored a factually correct Senate-passed bipartisan resolution this week denouncing anti-Semitism on college campuses and have consistently supported legislation and efforts to combat hate crimes and anti-Semitism. I'm glad my colleagues are talking about the dangers of fomenting hate because I think that is a real problem in our country. Anti-Semitism is not confined to our nation's universities. According to a January 2023 report entitled Anti-Semitic Attitudes in America, the Anti-Defamation League concluded that 85% of Americans believe at least one anti-Jewish trope, as opposed to 61% in 2019. A more recent ADL report shows a 388% rise in anti-Semitic incidents in the United States since the Hamas attacks, and yet our condemnation is not always consistent, particularly for my colleagues across the aisle. When the former president and 2024 Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump fanned the flames of anti-Semitism during his time in and out of office, congressional Republicans failed to call him out on his bigotry. For instance, as Jews all over the world were celebrating Rosh Hashanah in September of 2023, Donald Trump accused the Jewish people who did not support him in 2020 of voting to, quote, destroy America and Israel. Professor Nadel, you mentioned in your opening remarks that you were opposed to Congress legislating any definition of anti-Semitism in 2017, and you remain opposed today. Respecting your stance, can you briefly explain whether Trump's recent statement was anti-Semitic and why?
Could you give me the recent statement you want me to respond to?
The statement was, he accused, in September of 2023, he accused the Jewish people who did not support him in 2020 of voting to, quote, destroy America and Israel.
I absolutely thought that that was anti-Semitic, and there have been other similar statements that I have thought were anti-Semitic, because what that statement was doing was buying into one of these very classic anti-Semitic tropes about the loyalty of the Jewish people and that the question that they cannot be loyal to the nation in which they live because they hold a higher loyalty to their own people, but to say that they were being disloyal to the United States because they voted for a different political party is not saying that one is disloyal to the United States. It's just that they had a different view in terms of the party they preferred.
Unfortunately, that wasn't the first time that Trump attacked American Jews, nor was it the first time the 2024 Republican presidential frontrunner engaged with anti-Semitism for political means. When white supremacists chanted, quote, Jews will not replace us, end quote, in 2017 as they marched in Charlottesville, Virginia, Donald Trump said, and he was president at the time, said there were very fine people on both sides. That is an exact quote. Very fine people on both sides. Professor Nadel, you discussed this example in your opening statement. Why are Donald Trump's words here anti-Semitic?
They are anti-Semitic because those people who were marching in Virginia were deliberately echoing Nazi practices. The Tiki Torch parade that they had that evening was designed to look exactly like a Nazi stormtrooper parade in the 1930s. They had planned the phrase, Jews will not replace us. That's a reference to the notion of white supremacy and the idea that the Jews are somehow, again, one of these conspiracy theories, masterminds who were working to replace whites in America because they were bringing in immigrants and they were helping African Americans. And the idea underpinning that conspiracy theories is that those groups are not capable of orchestrating something like that by themselves. Only a worldwide Jewish conspiracy could do that.
Ms. Burdett, anything you want to add to that?
You know, I had a great opportunity to work at the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum down the street with the least political people you'll ever meet in your life. And I had the opportunity, just through some amazing historians, to learn a lot about Nazi propaganda and the Goebbels playbook. And one of the key aspects of how Nazi propaganda worked. They said, try to take all of the negativity about Jews. Remember, their anti-Semitism was just a fake lie to blame Jews for what was wrong in their lives. That's what it is today, right, left, center. It's just a lie to blame me for what's wrong in someone else's life. But they said, try to take all the negative characteristics of Jews. It's effective if you can pull it together in the character of one person. And Der Stürmer very famously would have a picture of one Jew. And the historian told me, that's the George Soros conspiracy theory. It's straight out of the Goebbels playbook. And so people should criticize him. He is a philanthropist. It's okay. We've talked about philanthropists before, but we don't always think about that direct connection. That man and that family, pound for pound, are probably, because we have the internet, the largest single targets of anti-Semitism in Jewish history. And it doesn't mean you can't disagree with them, but I learned a lot from those apolitical historians educating me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope we speak out against anti-Semitism everywhere that we see it, not just in certain places. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back. The gentlelady from Indiana is recognized.
Thank you, Mr.